Hello, everyone. This is the Allegiance Way Daily Dose. I'm Amy Lassen. Welcome. I'm glad you could be here live with us. We're super excited to be using StreamYard now so that we can see your comments in the chat. I do have a lot of content to cover with you today, so if I miss your comments, I apologize. There is a staff member at RE/MAX Allegiance monitoring the comments as well. So today we're going to talk about virtual buyer presentations. This is something that we could all do better. It's something that we could learn to do in any market, in any time, under any circumstances, not just with the current crisis. I have been doing buyer presentations, buyer consultations for a long time, but I find that not every agent does. So I want to back up just one step and talk about what are the reasons we should do buyer presentations at all. I get pushback from a lot of agents, both in my coaching and my training, that they don't have time for that, or they ask the buyer, would you like me to explain this to you? And they said, no, thank you, or they're already experienced. They didn't need me to walk them through the basics. I think that's a big misconception, that our buyers and our potential buyers could not benefit from being given the step-by-step of what they could expect. It's especially true now. You have an opportunity and a responsibility to explain what the virtual home buying process is like, but I want to make the argument that this was always true. All those transactions that you ever had that blew up in the middle, someone had a misunderstanding, something went sideways and your clients got upset, a lot of that could have been mitigated or avoided altogether with better expectation setting. So I hope that what you learned today you will take forward for the rest of your career, and you will always do buyer consultations, whether it's in person or over streaming video like we are here today. So let's talk about the buyer consultation, the buyer presentation in general as a concept, virtual or not. First of all, what's our job? I love asking agents this question, what's your job? And I get really varied answers. I help people buy and sell homes. I'm a consultant. I sell myself. I've heard a lot of different versions of what it is we do for a living, but I think at its basic, at its root, what we do is provide enough knowledge, enough market knowledge, enough information to a potential buyer or seller that they are empowered to make a really wise investing decision, whether it's purchase or sale. The truth of the matter is, even if they're planning to live in the house, it's still an investment. And at the end of the day, this is not our transaction. This is not our money. Our clients have to be empowered to make wise decisions for themselves and not simply rely on us to tell them what to do. We lay out options. Hopefully we've done a very thorough job of investigating their options, and they feel empowered to make wise choices. So I think that is the foundation of what we do. Therefore, I hope that makes it clear why providing a home buying consultation is absolutely vital, and do it every single time. If you find that people say, I don't have time for that, I would like to argue that you presented it worse than you could have. Please don't ask people, are you interested in a buyer consultation? Don't ask. Once you have a buyer saying, I would like to buy, I am interested in pursuing the path to a home, a new home, an investment property, whatever it is, say, wonderful, tell me more about what you're looking to accomplish. Ask a lot of questions, get in good rapport with them, and then schedule the appointment for the consultation. In the future, when that can be in person, absolutely do that. But for now, it will be via video conference, something like Zoom. Zoom is one of my favorites. We're using StreamYard, but that's for streaming to social media, for a back and forth where you want to be able to talk to someone and you're both on the screen and you want to be able to share your screen and show resources. I recommend Zoom. Sidebar, those of you who are RE/MAX Allegiance agents, you have access to Zoom training every single week. So please take advantage of that and become a little bit more of a Zoom expert than you currently are, and you can provide that service to your buyers, your sellers, your clients, heck, your family members. You could have virtual happy hours. I do virtual story time every day with my extended family via Zoom. So take advantage of that resource from RE/MAX Allegiance. So when you provide a home buying presentation or consultation, hopefully you have a home buying guide to follow. And again, those of you who are RE/MAX Allegiance agents, you have a home buying guide available to you at RE/MAX Allegiance. Something beautiful and professional that will lay out the home buying process for the client to see step by step. The other things that you want to do is really get clear on what their expectations are. And this is why I said ask a lot of questions, really engage with these people before you launch in to bragging on yourself or presenting your own value proposition. A buyer presentation should help you get clear on what your client wants. And I have found this in the simplest ways. It's easy, and I hope you hear me, it's easy to make little mistakes in what you thought you heard someone say. I had a client once tell me she had to have a one-level property, and for some reason, I was in a hurry. I didn't ask enough questions about why. Bedrooms, baths, price, part of town, one level, got it. I created the search. There wasn't a lot that met her criteria. One level was an issue. When I finally was able to meet her in person and I asked, why do you need a one-level home? She said, I don't want high utilities. I don't know where she got it in her head that two-story homes have much higher utilities than one-level homes, but I should have asked more questions. Maybe silly example, but make sure you're asking enough questions, especially in this time of the virus. Tell me why now is a great time for you to buy a home. Tell me why you're interested in buying a home right now. I have a client I talked to this morning who is very interested in buying an investment property. She sent me a very particular property and wanted to talk about it this morning. So talk about why is now the right time? Why do you really want to invest at this time? Make sure you ask a lot of good questions, ask the question beneath the question, and get clear on their hopes and their expectations. You create such rapport, such good rapport. I've had people say to me, oh my goodness, I gave my heart and soul to this prospect or this buyer, and then they ran off and used someone else. I feel so taken advantage of, right? Well, you want to create really, really good rapport, and that helps to minimize the chances that that will happen. Getting agency signed and keeping loyalty with buyers is a whole other presentation, but really understanding their wants and needs and being able to address them help to mitigate that possibility that they might flee. When you set really clear expectations that are based on current market conditions, you have so many fewer issues down the road. Now, the next couple of weeks, perhaps months in our markets are going to be different, right? Explaining market conditions is going to be a week-to-week enterprise. We need to really stay on top of what's going on, what's moving, how many properties are available, how many are going under contract. And for most of us, it's a lot. There are a lot of new listings coming on, and the vast majority are going under contract within 7 days at a pretty high list to sell ratio. So those are the stats to know. Those are the stats to offer. Really walk your client through what their options are. Covering the details of home inspection, and I'm going to go into that in detail in a minute so that they understand what they need to inspect about the property and not take on faith. Creating a strategy for getting them what they want. And every market is a little bit different. So take this with you for the future, for every market, right? Whether it's super buyer heavy or seller heavy market, whoever is maybe in the driver's seat, the buyer needs to know that. They need to know what their options are for negotiating. How likely is it that they could get their closing costs paid, or that they could have a home warranty included? These are the types of things that you want to be able to go over with them before they fall in love with the house, and then in my market, I'll have this happen. They'll see a home, they absolutely love it, and then they'll say, great, let's go in low. Let's just try it. Let's just see. And in my market, it has been so tough to even get an offer accepted at full price. Lot of pricing pressure with a lot of demand from a lot of buyers. So what I do to avoid that question is I walk my clients through their options before we find that home. I show them the current days on market, the current list to sell ratio, and then when they see the home that they love, they don't say, let's go in 20,000 low, let's go in 30,000 low, let's just see, because they know based on very recent history that that's unlikely to work. You empower your client with the knowledge, and I said this already, to make their own wise investing decisions, which is absolutely vital. And at the end of the day, you inspire enthusiastic referrals, right? We don't just want to keep them. We don't just want to close them. We want to have them as a client for life, and we want them to think of us whenever somebody says, hey, do you have a good realtor? And long before that they enthusiastically refer us. So let's talk about what virtual presentations look like as opposed to the in-person. For me, I still go through my home buying guide. I have that up and I walk them through the slides that are still relevant. I'm going to show you mine because there are a couple of things that I love to cover with every single buyer. The thing to know about mine is it has not been edited yet for the current circumstances. It's a whole nother challenge, and hopefully all of you are scrambling to get ahead of that yourselves. But I mentioned before, I would use Zoom. You can get a free Zoom account. If you're concerned about the free account timing out, it's $14.99 to have an account that lasts a little longer. I think RE/MAX agents have a deal right now available to them, but I don't know what it is. So check that out. And as I said before, remember that RE/MAX Allegiance has training on Zoom. You could also use FaceTime. You could use the WhatsApp video feature or Google Hangouts. All of those would work. I use Zoom. I like Zoom. So when is it a good time, though, to have the buyer presentation? Are you pressing it? Would you be pushing it to say now, we really need to meet, we really need to talk through this? Unless these prospects of yours are excruciatingly busy right now, there is never a bad time to do a buyer presentation. They're thinking they might want to buy in the fall. Maybe they're thinking that they want to buy an investment that can grow into something that will pay for their kids' college. Maybe they're not even sure if now is the time for them to buy. They're just thinking about it. Could be this year, could be next year. I would make the argument it's never a bad time to get information. Walk them through all the options that they have in the current market, and then walk them through what it would entail if they found a property they wanted to write an offer on, and then you're top of mind for them ongoing. So I would be proactive about offering to do buyer consultations, buyer presentations for anyone who has interest. And we're going to talk about marketing that service toward the end of today's video. So one of the things that we can do is make it clear to everyone that we're happy to explore their buying options. Make it clear to absolutely everyone that this is a service you provide. This includes promoting the breadth of your service to the people who already know, like, and trust you, but also in your advertising, okay? So both with your sphere of influence marketing, please be ahead of it. Be making it clear to everyone who already knows you. Maybe they've used you in the past, maybe they just know you from social circles. Make it clear that you're available for virtual buyer consultations and that there's never a bad time. There's never a stupid question. There's never a bad time. You're happy to talk to them about their options. And then you can craft some advertising around the same message. So let's talk about what is involved in the entire buyer process to make sure that you do set those good expectations and create that long-term rapport and referral base. One of the first things that I do is I work from a questionnaire to guide me. When you have that first call, hey, Amy, we're thinking we might like to buy this year. If you just wing it, right? If you just say, cool, what do you want? That price, those bedrooms and baths, got it. I'll set you up, we're good to go. When you fail to ask, and with a friend or a past client, it might be easier to get away with that because you know so much about them. But let's say someone is referred to you, right? Hey, Amy, Sheila told me to call you. She said you did a great job for her. I need to pull out my buyer questionnaire. I need to be prepared to ask how many people will be making the purchasing decisions. What is the timeline? Are you in a lease now? How soon do you hope to be moved? All these things that I might forget if I was doing it from memory. Use a standard buyer questionnaire, fill it all out, get the names of everyone who will be a part of it, get the names of their kids. Be prepared to have a strong relationship with them and to work with them in finding the house. There is a buyer questionnaire available for you on the allegianceway.com as a download, so take advantage of that. It is an editable form. You can make it, add questions that are missing and take out ones that you wouldn't ask. In this time, I would ask a buyer why now is a great time to buy or why they're thinking of it, right? Their answers could be varied. It may be like my client this morning who just has really been wanting a second investment property and the current circumstances have not dissuaded her. She's just eager to know what her options are. Maybe they have a 1031 exchange that they need to execute. Maybe they just think it's a good time, like my client. Maybe they want to live somewhere else. There could be any number of reasons. Make sure you understand what those are. Ask them where their funds will come from, and have they talked to a lender, right? Maybe they actually have some cash they've pulled out, or maybe they're hoping to finance. Whether they've talked to a lender or not, you need to know what they know. What did their lender say to them? Or if they have not discussed it with a lender, that's absolutely first steps. I know we always say that, make sure they're pre-qualified, but lending terms are changing, and it's absolutely important that they talk to a lender right away. If you ever have issues in your career with getting people to talk to a lender, always sell it as the benefit that it is. Do the best that you can to make it clear that this isn't about scrutinizing them or their financial worthiness. This is about giving them options in this market. So make sure that they're pre-qualified. And as always, forgive me that I'm checking my notes. We have a lot to cover in 30 minutes. So ask them also, this is a unique question to the times, ask them if they're interested in seeing properties in person or if they want to see them virtually, all right? Different people have different comfort levels, and those of you listening may be in different markets with different local guidelines, all right? So whether real estate has been deemed an essential service or in-person is even an option, make sure that you know that, and then ask the client what their expectations are. If they're interested in buying, but they're thinking they might want to wait and see what happens, that's okay too, right? Now, you need to explore what that means to them. What is the nature of their hesitation? What are they thinking? Don't claim to have a crystal ball. That's foolhardy. No one knows exactly where this is going to end up, but ask them a lot of meaningful questions and help them to get clear about their goals. If at the end of that discussion they decide they really would like to wait, but they are interested in buying, set a plan for staying in touch, all right? Tell them when you will be contacting them back, and then put them on some sort of a follow-up plan, whether it's texts or calls or making them a part of your community newsletter. I am sending content way more frequently than I used to the people in my world. And it's not want to buy or sell, want to buy or sell, want to buy or sell. It's nice, it's kind, it's friendly, it's supportive for what we're all going through. And so I could include that future pacing buyer in my current love circle, my current community that I touch every single week. So now if you do have somebody who's interested in taking action sooner than later, get very clear on what type of property they're looking for. And maybe that's obvious, but you need to schedule the time now to go through the buyer presentation. That first conversation, you're probably not going to both run to your computer and set up a Zoom call. Maybe you will, you decide, but probably you need to schedule that time, tell them how long it's going to take. For me, it would easily be half an hour. You can say, I have a home buying guide that I want to walk you through. I also want to show you the market statistics and help you with a strategy for achieving your goals. When would you have 30 minutes to come to the video, to sit in front of a computer and see the presentation I have for you? That's the way I would phrase it. And I wouldn't ask, are you interested? I would just say, this is what I do. When are you available? Now, tell them about all of the sources that you have for helping look for property. Maybe you have some extra things outside of MLS searches. Maybe your company, your brokerage has its own little coming soon list, or maybe you're subscribing to some FSBO subscriptions and you're really, really beating the bushes to be creative to find properties that aren't necessarily easy for others to find. Explain that if you have that available. Walk them through the home buying steps. What is included, show them the current market trends, and take them into the MLS. And if we have time, we have 11 minutes. I will show you exactly how I do all of those things. Then lay out the details of what your new virtual service entails. And this is where I haven't edited my consultation book yet. It doesn't have the virtual services outlined, but I am prepared to absolutely tell them what I do. So explain the detailed research that you'll do, like sending them to Google Earth. There's a lot of things that you could do. We all know that showing buyers they don't necessarily buy the first and only house they ever see, right? If you're going to show these people 5 houses, make sure those 5 are really in the running, or better yet, eliminate the 4 that won't work with serious long distance due diligence. There is a lot that you can do. It's possible that you could go do a video tour yourself to spare them needing to be away from the stay-at-home order. You figure out what works for them, what works for you, and what works in your market. So lots and lots of due diligence up front. The other options would be you could conduct a showing for them, right? You could tour the property via FaceTime or recorded video, something like that. Or there could be a hands-free showing. That's what I call it, where yes, they get to come, but it's made clear that I will be the only one to touch anything. They will touch nothing. They can put their hands in their pockets, right? I will have gloves on. I will have sanitary wipes. I will have spray cleaner. I will wipe down the lockbox. I will wipe down the door. The doors inside will either already be open for us or I will open them. They will touch nothing. So give them that assurance that this is going to be a relatively seamless process, and they will be able to see the property and not have to touch anything and be concerned about quickly washing their hands. Really have a strong plan for staying in communication with their lender. If you have talked to their lender prior to the consultation, that is ideal. Like just knowing that they're pre-qualified, I think we all realize is not adequate now. So talk to their lender before they even come to the consultation and be prepared to talk about, is this going to be a 60-day escrow process? Possibly. Here's what your lender said. Here's what we know. Talk about home inspection, and this may vary based on your market and your local requirements. But if your home inspector has a written health guidelines plan for that he or she wears a mask or wears gloves or wipes everything down, and they can assure everyone that they're going to follow healthy guidelines and keep things as clean as possible. Maybe this is an above and beyond thing. Maybe you offer professional cleaning at closing. Maybe that's your bonus, that your wow factor gift that you offer to a buyer who wants to buy now. Showing them properties. You might, well, we've already talked about this. You can either do it yourself, do it with them. Sometimes we've seen this in our market where some sellers actually don't want anyone in the property. They are health compromised, but they do need to show the house. And so they are actually doing those live showings. So we can coordinate those. We can be a part of that FaceTime, Zoom, where the seller is showing it on their phone. We're asking questions. We're being walked through the property. That's not common, but I have a realtor friend who did that right here in my very own market. Explain, we talked about the current timeline. Make sure you get that from the lender and make sure you know. And then I would check the pipeline of new construction. New construction is booming in my market. There are more new permits pulled lately than in a long time. So I would check with local builders. Those opportunities may or may not be in your MLS. You may have extraordinary opportunities for your buyers in upcoming new construction. So now we'll see if I can do all of these things. I'm going to share my screen, but I have to figure out how to do it and show you how I walk them through my presentation. All right, let's see if we can do this. Okay. Share screen. Share screen. That one. All righty. Hopefully, I can see it right there. Terrific. All right, you can see this is a sample of my home buying presentation, and as I was honest about, it has not currently been edited for COVID. All right. I can't see you now. Here are some sample covers. There's my table of contents. I'm going to go very quickly. I walk them through the legal relationships in my state. I talk to them a little bit about me, right? Why would they trust me? I'm a local expert. I walk them through what they can expect as service from a buyer's agent. What are the recent stats? What are some good search services for them with local resources, crime statistics, whatever they might be interested in. I have an app that they can use for searching homes if they're driving around. I don't know that this is the time. I gave you the disclaimer, this one has not been edited. I actually talk quite a bit about buying from builders because there is so much new construction in my market. This may not be important for you. If you do have options, make sure you explain what it means that you have value in working with them working with a builder. For sale by owner, make it clear that if there are homes for sale listed by an owner, that you have the ability to help them negotiate that sale and bring them to a successful close. Make sure they understand what their options are and that they don't need to be going around calling FSBOs or knocking those doors themselves. You will happily provide that service to them. Walk them through the basics of the home buying process. I have two different slides. One is for getting pre-approved and one is for staying pre-approved. That may be easier in other markets than now, but this is something that I tend to go over as a standard. What is a home warranty? And if they are not able to negotiate for one, can they purchase one for themselves? What does viewing homes look like? And this is the one that I absolutely have to edit now and make true for the current conditions. During the home process, what will they do? What will I do? What happens when we write an offer? And then this one I'm going to pause on. I teach the no regrets offer to all of my buyers. I do it in all circumstances, and I think the current circumstances do not change that. When we talk about a no regrets offer, what I say to them is, when you're uncertain, let's say you're competing. There are 5 other offers and you don't know what the fair price is. It's currently listed at $425. There are 5 other offers and they ask me, Amy, what's it worth? I'm very honest with them and I say it's worth what it's worth to you. And I'm not saying that because I am unwilling to do research. When there is this much competition, you have to make the offer that is neither higher nor lower than you will regret. And I do give a lot of evidence for what I mean by that. And I had that experience being my own daughter's realtor, and we ended up competing pretty aggressively. We went quite a bit over. We did win and don't regret it. She would have lost out if we had not. Walk them again through what, and this absolutely has to be changed. This is a 4-week close, needs to be an 8-week close. I talk about how deadlines are real. The things that we write down in the contract and agree to and get signed are not negotiable. I've had clients say, well, we'll figure out closing later. We'll decide on such and such later. And I say, no, deadlines are real. Title insurance, if you have title insurance in your state, make sure they understand what that's about. How do they read the title commitment? If you have surveys or ILCs, I have a graph that goes here that is missing. Explain home inspections in detail and don't encourage them to skip. If this property probably needs a sewer scope, don't encourage them to save the money and skip it. I explain radon, I explain closing costs and all these things. I am going to stop sharing because that is a lot. So I hope you can see how thorough I am when I do a buyer presentation, and I don't do it that fast. That was lightning speed. Like I said, it takes me half an hour to walk my clients through the plan of what's going to be involved. And now I'm going to be changing and adding all these things about hands-free showings and virtual showings so that they feel comforted. I think we need to do as much educating as possible. We don't ease up. In a time of stress, it's not less likely that someone will be upset and have a misunderstanding later, but maybe more. So bare minimum, don't do less than you would have done before. I'm going to continue to be extremely thorough and detailed in my buyer consultations and make sure they walk away with a lot of resources. Now, I have people say to me, good grief, that's a lot. That was really long. I follow up and represent those same data points as is appropriate when it arises, right? When it's time for the home inspection, I send them the information again. When it's time to read the title commitment, I send the information again. I don't expect them to remember everything, but I do give them the overview before I put them in my car or commit to doing a lot of research for them and doing a lot of virtual showings. Now, I promised I would talk about advertising. I'm watching the clock carefully. All right. So in order to stay in front of the people who already know, like, and trust you, and or grow your sphere of influence in this time, if you would run ads, making it clear that you have this service, that's going to help. That's going to keep you top of mind. That's going to get eyeballs on the work that you do. So here are some suggestions for Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube ads that you could run. You could run an ad for a virtual home buying guide free download, right? Download free, virtual home buying guide. People are fascinated. They're home right now. They're surfing the internet. They would love an opportunity like that. Now have some abbreviated version of your home buying guide available for them as a download. You could do an online home buying seminar, right? You create a Facebook event, you promote it, you have people engage via something like Zoom webinar, and you could have an extraordinary buyer seminar. I know someone who did one recently and he had more than 200 people attend. So that's an option for offering up your services. Now, to be clear, a home buying seminar is not the same as a buyer consultation, but you could use some of the elements of your home buying guide to create that seminar. Buying in the time of COVID-19. That's a crazy catchy title. I'm being careful to not be too heavy throwing around COVID-19, but that is a strong headline. Do you still want to buy a house? That's a good headline. Virtual open houses. Anytime you promote a house, marketing statistics show this. Anytime you're marketing an actual listing, you're going to get stronger engagement and more leads. So virtual open houses are phenomenally successful for that. And if you have not seen our Daily Dose broadcast on virtual open houses, go back and look through the page. It's there. Targeted home search results. If there are still homes available in desirable price ranges, in desirable parts of downtown, you can create custom searches and post those. Those really, really get a lot of click-throughs. If there's a great property that you would just love to find the buyer for, reach out to the agent and ask if you can do a detailed video walkthrough and market it for them. Depending on the hands-off situation with that house, agents are often happy to let other people market their properties. Listings in general, if you have any new listings, go way above and beyond and watch the Daily Dose we had on virtual listings. If you have any listings coming up, if you have any listings, go way above and beyond anything you've ever done before to market it online. That's going to get you maximum eyeballs. That is one of the best ways to generate buyer leads. So I'm looking at the time. My goodness, we made it almost exactly in 30 minutes. I want to leave you with a couple of things that I didn't show you. When you work with the buyer, the thing that I showed you, my pre-made presentation is not all that I go through. I always go through the current statistics. I get into the MLS with them. I map the results. I put them in a table and I show them the list to sell ratio. I show them average days on market. I educate them right up front about their options that they're going to have in the current market that we have, and I educate them about the no regrets offer, and I bring those back around whenever they have questions. I hope this has been helpful. I raced through a lot of content very quickly. Go to theallegianceway.com and take advantage of the resources that we have provided there. And if you're a RE/MAX Allegiance agent, please take advantage of the resources that your brokerage provides to you, both the home buying guide and the Zoom training. There is wonderful training coming up for lots of marketing. I was super excited to check in with the staff today and hear about what's coming. So please stay tuned. These are uncertain times. So focus on growing your skill, grow your systems. We are here to help you with both. And as always, I encourage you to focus on what you can make better. See you next time.